Hi guys, 6 years has passed since you usually load up Pleasantview, and I'm here to show you what has changed after the last 3 that we looked at. So please join me and let's take a closer look at these families and also how the neighborhood changed, because I've added some buildings and I've changed up some of the ones that was here already. Thanks for joining me. Let's get started. So we're going to start off by just looking at the basic neighborhood view, and as you can see there's some buildings that's been added, and I'll also show you a little bit later that I've changed some of the basic buildings, community lots that's here, and I think I've made some good improvements to them. Let's start off though over here. It says Lothario, but it's just because Dawn used to live in this house. So we have Cassandra and Darren living here peacefully with their daughter, and of course Dawn and Cassandra's son, which was from her first marriage. So I'll quickly read you their bio, and it says, Cassandra and Darren are happy together and they enjoy their hobbies, careers, and being parents again. Things are going well. Cassandra just hopes her mother can settle down because her behavior is a bit alarming and she can't help but feel sorry for her father. Okay, so there's been some drama there and I'm hinting at it here, so we'll first take a look at them a little bit. Cassandra is still in the science career. She's not terribly high up, but she is a project leader and she's doing pretty well at work. But she has been focused on her family. And yeah, their home is a little bit more furnished than last time when we had an update. But I could do more to it and I will get around to that. Alright, so relationship-wise, she is best friends forever with both her mom and dad. Nothing there changed. She loves both of them, even though there's drama there. And she still has a very good relationship with both. She just kind of hopes they can work out the situation between them. But at the same time, she's an adult, they're adults. They're making their own choices, you know. Her friendships have been pretty steady. She's still enemies with Dawn, but she's not really bothered by him anymore. He's kind of living his life and he's not really involved in her son Samuel's life. So you know, she doesn't really care what he does and she's completely moved on. She's doing well in life and she's a secondary knowledge, so she's got a good balance between family and her career. If we look at Darren is a secondary family and primary knowledge, so they are pretty much in sync with each other. He's doing pretty well. He's still sticking to his art, and our next step for him is to basically get him an art gallery. That's something that I would like to do and feel like he would be aiming towards. He's still got good friendships going, and Dirk is now an adult. So he's independent and we're going to get to him and see what happened with him. He's done with his studies and everything is fine. I played as if Dirk and basically that whole part, that generation, was between 16 and 18 years old already. In my headcanon, that's the case. They're older teens. And that's why 6 or 7 years later they would be done with their university studies if they had like a standard 4-year degree or something like that. So that's how I'm playing it at the moment. And I'm not showing you university, I'm playing off camera for that. So he's just an adult. If we look at little Samuel, so Samuel does not know his dad is not involved in his life. He basically sees Darren as his father, and he doesn't have a terribly high relationship with him. He's more of a mama's boy, but they're on okay terms, you know. So here he is. He's a good blend between Cassandra and Dawn, but I think he looks more like Cassandra possibly. He has her eyes as well. And yeah, he's school-wise, he hasn't been to school a whole lot, so he's a C student. And that's pretty much it for him. Happy little boy. Here's his bedroom. He's asleep in his nice comfy bed. And then we have little Sandra. She is Darren and Cassandra's daughter. She looks a lot like her dad. She's a toddler, so it's kind of tough to tell, but she has Cassandra's eyes. And she just turned into a toddler, so she really hasn't even learned a single skill. And we can see, looking at her personality, she's a bit shy. But she has a pretty balanced personality, whereas Samuel is very shy, but he's also quite lazy. He's neat, he's playful, and is nice, you know, so they have like they're both pretty shy kids, not terribly outgoing. All right, since we're busy with like part of the Goth family, let's go over to the main Goth household. So here's Dina, Mortimer. The daughter that Mortimer thinks is his daughter has grown into a child now. It's actually Don's daughter. And him and Dina had another daughter who's also green. Oh my goodness. I see Dina's genes are quite strong. But anyway, let's take a look at some of the drama that's happened here. Alexander is still a teen. He's nearly going to go to college. So it says, Bella has truly destroyed any chance there might have been for her and Mortimer with her behavior. Mortimer is now fully focused on his family with Dina. He does wonder about the light tinge their kids have, though. It does look almost green. Okay, Mortimer, you would need glasses because it's very green. But anyhow, let's take a look closer up. They also have a cute little kitty that they've adopted. Now, I'm playing without any real custom content in this neighborhood because I'm thinking about sharing this with you guys when I reach a certain point. Available for download sharing, but I don't want to have any custom content or mods be a reason why I cannot share it clean and easy for you guys. So that's why I don't have a default replacement in for the alien skin, because I typically don't play with occults and aliens and things like that at all. I'm very realistically minded and I don't view that as really realistic. So I have them green here, but if I ever were to play with my full downloads folder, they would actually have regular skin because I have a default replacement that someone made for me. So if anyone's interested in knowing about that, it's really nice and handy, and it's a very beautiful skin that you have as a default replacement for this. It's not green at all, it's regular skin color, then as well as eyes, then let me know. Okay. Alright, so this is the Goth mansion. From the outside it looks similar. I mean, I've made a few small changes, and obviously the garage I added last time already. I did make some changes inside though. So the bottom floor looks pretty much the same, and the middle floor has had a change because I've created a new bedroom for Alexander. So we still have the nursery here where Cassandra's bedroom used to be, but next to that we now have Diana's bedroom. So I've turned it into a very pink and blue girly room, and she has their cute little cat Chemo living with her. So Chemo was a stray that I adopted. I just thought Chemo was very cute. So alright, and then on the very top floor I created a bedroom here for Alexander, and interestingly enough, I will point this out, here's the portrait of Bella. So that is not hanging in the main bedroom anymore, and usually I pretend that it's Dina that says no more, she's not here, we're married, I don't want your ex-wife's portrait hanging in my bedroom. But this time around, because of the drama that I wrote into the story, Mortimer was actually the one to give it to Alexander and say, you know what, here, this is the picture of your mom that you can have. So it's actually his dad that gave him the picture of his mom. So if we look at the Sims themselves, Mortimer is now 65 days old with this lifespan. I usually play with a custom one, but I don't have that in here. So according to this, he's 65 days old. And then relationship wise, as you can see, married to Dina, has good relationships with all his kids. He's made friends with Kaylin. He's now enemies with Daniel Pleasant, and basically furious with Bella Goth, and enemy status have gone away a little bit, but he's not impressed with her. So that's just something to note. And yeah, he's pretty neutral at this stage towards Dawn, almost like he just doesn't care what Dawn does as well. Of course, he doesn't know that Dina had a fling with Dawn a while ago, so he's not angry because he doesn't know. Here he is with his newest daughter, Morgana. So I thought that would be kind of a knockoff Mortimer, Morgana. And it kind of fits the last name as well. And here's Alexander, just like he was pretty much last time. Dina does have some interesting ones over here that I will point out. Now, the thing with this neighborhood is I said I'm trying different genetic combinations, so I have been doing that. So Dina has kind of felt that Mortimer is just, you know, he's much older than she is, and although she's usually attracted to older men, or should I say to their money, she has kind of been looking around, and so therefore Dawn isn't the only one that she's involved with. She's also involved with Brandon Lillard. And so we'll see the genetic situation when she gives birth, because I hope this one isn't green too, because she is actually expecting Brandon's baby. But again, she got away with passing her first child off as Mortimer's, and she's intending on just basically continuing doing this. I wonder if she will ever get caught with this, or if Mortimer is just going to believe that she is this lovely person that's like real honest and very loyal, which she isn't, because she's in it for the money. Still jobless, of course. Then Alexander, he's still dating Meadow, and he's quite happy with her, and we'll see what happens in the end if they end up together. Lucy is always an option, of course, because they always get along really well. And yeah, some of the other teens have grown up already. I've made some of them age up. Some of them I've kept as teens. I kind of decided who I think, you know, would be what age, and I changed it according to that. Then we have Diana over here, whose dad is actually Dawn, but she fully thinks she's a goth, and so does everyone else. No one is questioning it. And she has actually been to school quite a bit. She's an A+ student, and her big brother, or half brother, helped her study. So Alexander was very involved in her life. I think he was also, he helped her to learn to walk, for instance. So he was very involved in her life, and they get along really well. So he also helped her to study. Very cute. And then personality wise, she's a very sloppy and grumpy Sim, but other than that, she's quite outgoing, active, and playful. So she's going to be a very interesting Sim, I think, to choose an aspiration for, because if you choose popularity, it will kind of be an infamous popularity, because she's not very nice, you know, or alternatively pleasure, I guess, could be something, you know, that you choose for her because she's so playful. Interesting. So we'll see. And then Morgana is still a baby, so we don't know much about her. And Kima the cat is a male cat. And yeah, he's just living his best life over here. Yeah, so that's pretty much the Goths. So I think it's fitting, since we are kind of doing all the Goths now, to go check out where Bella is. So Bella is over here with Daniel Pleasant. So let's take a look what it says. It says, Daniel finds himself stuck yet again. After reckless abandon and having Mortimer storm in on him and Bella, he now has Bella living with him and expecting his child. He couldn't even be a proper father to Angela, Lilith, and Marcus. Now, here he is having to help raise Mortimer and Bella's daughter with another child on the way. He's so fed up. Well, he should be fed up with himself, because, I mean, it's all his own doing. But, yeah, I think this is quite a downgrade for Bella. She used to live with Cassandra, 3 years ago. But I think she kind of feels embarrassed now, because now she was caught with Daniel, and, what will her daughter think of her if, she's kind of living with them and she just keeps on having this illegitimate, affairs and kids and things like that. So she moved to Daniel, and Daniel, kind of agreed, but he's kind of feeling a little bit like his freedom is in question now, because he finally is free to live his life the way he wants. And now he has a toddler in the house who's not his, as well as a baby on the way. So he's kind of stuck again in the same place where he was being married to Mary Sue. And he's kind of not so happy about that, is how I'm portraying it at the moment. So his house changed a little bit. I didn't do much to it. Bella just moved in, literally. But here we have a little room for her and Mortimer's daughter, Benita. She's a little toddler at the moment. And then here we have Daniel, kind of... It's like this game just knows the story you have in mind, because to me he looks really irritated lying over here. He doesn't look happy with the circumstances. And Bella is not feeling well. Morning sickness has really hit her. And she is 11 days away from becoming an elder. So I think this should be her last child. I mean, I've now tried out the genetics in the sense that she had a child with Mortimer and now Daniel, but age-wise, realistically, I think she would be done after this. So I will think of how I'm going to, make this story play out. Will she stay with Daniel, or, will this just be a temporary situation? Okay, so this is upstairs, and then downstairs it's pretty plain and simple. Because he was a bachelor, it's kind of no frills. And now that she's here, will she redo the house? Perhaps. She brought some money in, so we'll see. Okay, so Daniel, job-wise, he's assistant coach. Not much have changed there. He's hasn't been focused on his career as much. So I kind of have to decide, is he going to become more focused on it, or what's going to happen now? He still has relationships with lots of people. So, Bella, I wonder if she thinks she's the only one at the moment, or if she kind of realizes she isn't. And is she really okay with that? Or what's the situation? But he has Nina that he still sees. He saw Christy. We'll get to... This is the Christy that comes with the game. I wrote her in. Her appearance is slightly different just because I gave her a makeover. And but she plays a role in this, so you'll see what happens to her. And he does not have any relationship with Kaylin anymore. They were friends, but he hasn't really spoken to her in a while, but he doesn't hold any ill will towards her, and she doesn't hold any ill will towards him. So it's just kind of, fond memory of each other, and that's it. Nothing else. He's still enemies with Mary Sue. That hasn't changed. And and with Mortimer and with Dustin. Dustin is also an adult now. He does not have a positive relationship with his daughter Lilith. She's also an adult now. Angela doesn't really have a relationship with him. They just don't really interact. So she's also an adult. Yeah, so that's pretty much Daniel's situation currently. He is a secondary popularity sim. I mentioned that last time. And then when it comes to Bella, she actually fears having another baby, so I really think this should be her last child. Then she's got Daniel. She's made some friendships. This is a new family that I let move in. I'll tell you all about them later. She still loves Mortimer, but I mean, obviously they're not friends anymore because, you know. She has an okay relationship with her grandson, but she doesn't see him as much anymore. And then she just knows of a bunch of people, but she doesn't really have any relationships with them. And then little Benita. So Benita still has some skills that she needs to learn. And if we look at her personality, she's lazy and serious. She's on the nicer side. She's not so shy. And she is quite neat. So that's little Benita. She does look a lot like Mortimer. She just has Bella's black hair. Alright, so since we looked at Daniel, I think we should look at the main Pleasant household. So here we have the main Pleasant household, and as you can see, Don and Mary Sue's son is now a child. And it reads as follows. Mary Sue's life changed a lot. She wanted everything perfect, but has since realized that perfect doesn't always mean happiness. After Daniel and her split, leaving her to raise the kids with her parents, she had one tipsy night out and ended up having a night of romance with a younger man, resulting in a very unplanned pregnancy with twins. This is completely out of character for her. She isn't expecting Amin to live his life for her, since they aren't really soulmates. Alright, so I've decided to allow her kind of one final relationship, but it wasn't really a relationship, if I can put it that way. She is, at the moment, really not interested in anyone else, but since I'm playing around with genetics, and I wanted to have her genetics somewhere more, I decided to let her and Amin have this kind of fling that they had as Amin Sims, as in the townie. So we'll see how this turns out. I, of course, didn't orchestrate the twins. That is something that the game did on its own. So it's interesting, though, because she had her daughters that is twins in the game. And it's kind of funny that she ends up having twins again. So let's take a closer look at them. Alright, so I'll just quickly show you what I did with the lots. I added a granny flat over here for Coral and Herb. And in this granny flat, get to the bottom level. It's very basic. They are using the kitchen in the regular house, but they basically have a living space where they can skill and whatever, bathroom, and then their bedroom. So it's very small, but it's just a little spot they can retreat to if the grandkids become too busy, basically. But they're all eating together, so, you know. The main floor over here also, I haven't made any changes to. I'm keeping this around because now Mary Sue knows that she will need it for the twins, but she's going to obviously need more than just the set. And then on the next floor, I kept Angela's room the way it is, the bathroom, and then I'm kind of pretending that little Marcus chose this room as the one that he wanted upstairs. And he feels quite special because he's the only one that's really using the upstairs floor. So here he is. I redid it in blue. So it's his room, and he's got like everything he's interested in over here. And if we look at him, he really does look a lot like Daniel. He just has Mary Sue's eyes. And yeah, he knows some kids from around the neighborhood, but he hasn't really made friends with any of them. And he hasn't been in school a whole lot yet, so he's a C+ student. Not much have happened there. But then in his memories, you will see what I was able to do is Grandma Coral helped him to learn to study. And then his grandparents was very involved in his skills, specifically Grandpa. His mom potty trained him, but, you know, Grandpa taught him to walk and to talk. And, you know, he just has very special memories of his family. His dad isn't involved in his life at all. Mary Sue doesn't mind, and the grandparents don't mind. Obviously, for them it's fine. They're taking care of their grandson. And, you know, he doesn't really question it. The father figure he has is Herb, so he's quite a happy little boy. Then also personality-wise, this is his personality, so he seems like someone who would be a go-getter, you know, type person. Probably fortune and knowledge combination, but we'll see, I mean. Alright, so this is little Marcus. Then the storyline I'm going for with Mary Sue is pretty much that since everything that happened, like her losing her job that she like thought was everything to her basically, and then finding out that she expected Marcus, so taking kind of a break from the whole career thing, and then having her parents move in with her because she discovered Daniel was cheating on her with Nina. She doesn't even know half of it, but you know, her life has changed significantly, and she started embracing things like her pottery again. She's not terribly high up with it, but she's doing it for leisure, and she actually spent time with Marcus, and having him kind of carried her through these difficulties that she's had. And then her daughters obviously went off to university and started lives of their own, and she's just kind of reached a point where she's realizing that what she valued in life before is not everything. There's actually other things that's important too. And of course, the one night that she kind of let loose, she ended up expecting twins with Amin Sims. But she's more casual about it now, in the sense that she's like, okay, I shouldn't have done that, but I'm gonna be okay. I'm going to raise them. I'm gonna be the best mom that I can be under the circumstances. And I don't want a repeat of Lilith and Angela. I think she does look back on that, realizing where she made mistakes, where Daniel made mistakes, and, you know, what was really things that they could have improved upon and done better. And she's just intending on not making that same mistakes again. And she does have a job, but she's, you know, she's not terribly high up in it, and it doesn't consume her entire world. She does the best that she can at her career, but at the same time, she's living her life at home as well. And the time that she spends with her mom and dad has become more important to her as well. So yeah, I didn't turn her into a family sim or anything, but I think that she has become more wise. You know, even though she does want to earn money, she did want to be very popular in the neighborhood or whatever. She's now kind of decided, well, you know, as long as my popularity is within my household and I'm doing the best I can by my family, then it's okay. Now, relationship-wise, she doesn't have a terribly... She and Lilith just doesn't gel. But they're not enemies or anything. They just can't really be around each other. So they're just like oil and fire. And her and Angela, she pushed Angela to a point where Angela kind of avoids her mom at the moment, and maybe Angela feels a little bit embarrassed by the fact that her mom is now expecting illegitimate twins. She's kind of like, oh, I don't know what happened to you. You were pushing us to be perfect, and look at what you've become. So I think the older daughters just kind of steer clear of her. They don't really come around. They kind of wishing her a happy birthday, and that's kind of, the extent of it. So I think in a way Mary Sue wants to prove that she isn't a horrible parent with Marcus, but if you look at her relationship with Marcus, it's not terribly high either. He has a much better relationship with his grandparents. So in that aspect, I think I didn't let Herb and Aldi adopt another child like sometimes players do, but it's almost kind of like they're raising Marcus. And, Mary Sue is there, and she's his parent and taking care of him, but she doesn't have that warmth that her adoptive parents have, because they're warmer and she's kind of a colder type person, just naturally. So yeah, that's kind of the storyline that I'm going with for them. So we'll see how it all turns out in the end. Alright, since we looked at them, I think we should move over to the other Pleasant. So that would be the two grown-up daughters. So one of them lives over here. This district, I kind of made it so it's like similar looking houses. It's almost like, in some countries they have this, they don't have it everywhere, but like you would get a neighborhood that kind of have like in this area, all the houses looks like this. Your fence should look like that, kind of rules for, they call it like a security village in South Africa, for instance. And, it's like just in a little estate or something where they have these different houses. And it's usually, some of them can be very expensive. In this area, my idea is it's kind of affordable homes, if I can put it that way. So it's not really upper class, but it's affordable homes, and a lot of younger people kind of start out that way because that's, things they can afford, but it's not a trailer. It's, a little bit like a step up from that. Okay, so over here we have the London family. So here we have Angela, and she married Randy London, which is one of the teens that come with the game. And the idea that I had behind that was, they had more chemistry than she did with Dustin. But he became a good friend of hers, and I could see that we're interested in each other. He was dating one of the other teens that I had in the game, and she was obviously dating Dustin. But my story that I'm going with is when they went off to university, the two of them ended up falling in love, and her and Dustin kind of drifted apart. They don't hold any ill will towards each other, but they just, it was a teen romance, and that was what it was. So it says Angela's mother might have been hesitant to give her approval to Angela and Randy because she used to have very high expectations. Given her career and marriage situations, as well as becoming distracted by another man, Amen Sims, she didn't protest as much to the union as Angela expected. So Angela kind of took her chance, because otherwise her mom might have, kind of wondered, is he of good standing or whatever, That's kind of upper class ideas that Mary Sue used to have. That's how I'm pretending in my story, in my headcanon. So the idea is to make this look like kind of affordable housing, which I think I kind of pulled off. But it has everything that you need. It's not a bad home to live in, but it's just not very extravagant. So they have a garage over here with one family car. And there's a living room when you enter over here, and you can enter from the garage as well. Then you have a hallway over here. A baby room. They must be planning something. And then you have the kitchen with a little breakfast nook or dining area there, and the main bedroom, and one bathroom. Oh, why would their toilet look like this? Perhaps Angela is expecting a baby. Could it be? Yes, it is. So their family is, they're starting a family. Yeah, Angela is very happily married to Randy London, and she's still good friends with Dustin. She has her friendships going with her family, not that close with her mom. She's kind of been avoiding, I think, the whole Pleasant clan, and she's just embraced her new life with her. Yeah, okay, maybe I should mention this. Her and Lilith, they live in the same street, but the less they see each other, the better. They just don't gel. So I think, ironically, even though Angela was supposed to be the golden child, I think Angela just, the drama that was her childhood growing up, she's just completely over it. And she doesn't want anything to do almost with anyone from that part of the family. She's just turned over a new leaf and she's starting her own family, and she's determined not to have the chaos that family had in her family. It, like, where she lives isn't grand, but she's willing to work and make it nice and have a great family life, because I made her a secondary family. Family is important to her. She's determined to not make the same mistakes as was made with her family and her childhood. Okay, so career-wise, she is very interested in the culinary direction, and she does actually want to become a celebrity chef. So I've, taken her in that direction. She studied the right thing and she's doing that job. And then we have Randy. Randy, she wanted to become this fishing boat captain while she married someone who's in the correct career for that. So anyway, if she can't be one herself, she'll cook and he'll steer the boat. So I'd like to think that they are maybe people that go to the lake and take a boat out for the day, or rent a boat and just kind of spend time on the lake. And perhaps she will accompany him on any job trips that he has, because she's had this dream as a kid. So yeah, that's his job. And then relationship wise, he used to date Chloe Gonzaga, but she was a bit younger than he is in my headcanon. She's still a teen, although she will nearly go to college. And yeah, they used to date, but it was teen romance thing, and he's now moved on in his adult relationships. He knows a bunch of townies. Then he knows Dustin quite well and is good friends with him, actually. Same with Dirk. He knows Abjit, and he's also friends with Orlando, who's still a teen at the moment. So yeah, that's pretty much their situation. He's a fortune sim, according to what I decided, and he's a secondary family sim. So he wants to excel at his career, and he is in the correct career for his lifetime want as well. He wants to excel in his career, and he wants a good family life. And Angela, has career wants as well, and wants a stable family life. So they want the same thing out of life, which I think is a recipe for success, if you compare her with her parents' situation. Okay, so that's the London family. Thank you so much for joining me for this first part of our 6 to 7 year update for Pleasantview. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I hope you guys enjoyed seeing what happened to all these families, and that you would join me in the next part, where we look at some more of the families and also how the buildings in Pleasantview changed. Thank you so much for all your positive feedback and for sharing all your ideas with me. I really enjoy your comments, and as always, happy simming and be blessed until next time.